Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Colonial RV. My name is Bobby Hensinger.
I'm Kristen Vialma.
And today we're going to walk you through all three of the Winnebago Boldt floor plans, the 70KL. Kristen will showcase the BL interior, and then I'll jump back in the 4x4. Now, before we compare all of the different models, it's really important and something really cool is to talk about how Winnebago came up with the Boldt name. It's named after German explorer Alexander von Humboldt. He lived in the 1700s and he died in 1859. He was one of the naturalists, geographers, and an explorer, and he was the first one to talk about how all of the continents were actually joined at one time, and he was also the first person to describe what we know today as human-induced climate change. So it's not only fitting, but a great honor that Winnebago named this after him, because this Winnebago Boldt, all three of them, they eliminate a generator, reducing emissions, and bringing peaceful silence to the household AC current world for RVs and air conditioning, microwaves, everything that you would need in an RV. The Boldt is built on the Mercedes-Benz 170-inch wheelbase chassis, and they're all 22 foot, 11 inches in length. They come in either Arctic white, Tellurite gray, and also the iridium silver, which you'll see we have showcased here today. Now, before we get inside the Boldt, we first want to talk about a couple important highlights of the Boldt lineup. First, it's one of the Winnebago Campervans that's entirely electrified as far as the household AC current, where many similar Class B vans will come with a fuel-based generator, as we mentioned. The Boldt substitutes the Jenny, and it puts in a high-powered Pure3 Advanced Automotive Energy System. It's called the Volta system. It's 48-volt battery system, and it runs simultaneously with all of the systems electronically for 110 electric, running through a 3600 watt inverter. So it's all electric as far as the camper base. Second, it's an extended season capability. It has an extensive automotive solid foam insulation, also insulated floors, the Truma Combi water lines, the tank system, everything is above the line as far as the floor line. Third, it has a very small footprint. As we mentioned, this is a 22 foot coach. It's 2211, and it's actually only 3 feet longer than what a pickup truck would be with a 6 3/4 inch flatbed. If you're going to have a turning radius of the Boldt, compare it to even a Super Duty truck with an 8-foot bed, this would be turnaround and a turning radius shorter than a pickup truck. So it's very easy to handle. Last, the warranty. In an age where all the Class B vans, people are building them on their own, which is really cool. When you talk about warranty, Winnebago has the automotive section for Mercedes-Benz, which comes with a 5-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, which is great. From Winnebago on all their Class Bs, you now receive a 1-year, 24,000-mile warranty on the coach side. And then from Volta, as we talked about, this is a unique lithium battery system. There's an 8-year or a 1,000 cycles from charging the battery from empty all the way back up, warranty from the date of purchase. So the warranty is also better than if you just made it at home yourself. As we walk into the 2022, the Winnebago Boldt, this is the 70KL model. As you can see, it's very open. It has the 2 twin beds. These will convert into one big bed, which we'll show you here in a little bit. But when we walk in, we always like to talk about what the systems are and the controls coming in. First, you're going to see we're going to have some switches here. You're going to have a light switch for the outside spotlights, which are controlled here. Winnebago doesn't label them, but often customers will put a little label on it, which is nice just to remember these are lights interior or exterior. The main thing that we always love about the Boldt, as we mentioned, this is all electric from the house portion back, so there is no generator. This right here, you have your SOC gauge. This is your state of charge. As you can see, it's also color coordinated as far as the system. You can see it's green. It is a very warm day today. It's in about the mid 50s, so we're not going to be blue when we first turn it on, which means the battery pack, the Volta pack, is cold until it warms back up. And it's also not red, which would get back into a mode showing you that it needs to be charged and you're losing power. You almost want to think of this as kind of like a fuel gauge in your car, so it'll tell you how much electric power you have to use. It's a very easy one push button system, and then once you turn that on, the entire system is now awake as far as 12 volts. Again, in RVs, we're always going to talk about systems that are 12 volts and some systems that are going to be a household AC current. When you first turn this on, automatically the inverter will always come on, and then you would have to physically turn it off. This is your 3600 watt inverter, which would then make all of the outlets as well as all of the systems like the air conditioner, the microwave, the stovetop would then be live. So it's just something that you always want to make sure you're aware of, because if you don't turn it off with the Volta system, it'll keep drawing power from your batteries. Now, you're always going to know how much power it's going to draw, not only from this SOC gauge, but the great great thing about technology, you can also download the app. It's the Volta app. I just paired it with this unit right here, and it's now telling me that I'm at 98%, and it also tells you, which is really cool, how much usage you have as far as in time. So here it's saying that we have 1 day of power minimum that we would use, and right now, even though we don't have anything on, but if we did, we turn the air conditioner on, you'll see that that will then change because it's gauging how much power it is and how much you're using. But the app is great. You can just go in, you can see also what the temperature is of the pack, which is the Volta system, and then your power flow. So with technology, it's really great that you can see all that with an app. One thing to mention too, as far as this Volta system, the Boldt model, which is different than the Travato lineup, comes automatically with the 4 modules as far as how much watt hours and amp hours that you have to use. The Travato lineup comes standard with the 3 module Volta, and then you can upgrade to 4, but the Boldt models all come standard with the 4 module Volta battery pack. So you have the maximum amount, which is over 12,800 watt hours of usage, and that's going to be just as if you're stationary. Now, the next thing is people always ask is, well, it's great that you tell me how much I have in power, but how do I charge? So there's a few different ways that you're going to charge this Volta lithium battery pack. You're going to charge when you're driving. There is a second alternator, which is a 58 volt, which is actually more powerful than what comes in the Balmar and the Lithionics brands, but it's going to charge up pretty quickly, and probably less than 2 hours. If you were all the way down to, let's just say, down into the 10-15% range of power, you're gonna charge up about 1% for every mile you drive, give or take. So you can see that in a very short time of driving, your battery pack will be charged up. You also, the motorhome, like all, come with a 30 amp power cord. The 30 amp power cord, when you plug in to a campground, it's going to then charge up the Volta battery pack as well, which is great, because then you're going to do the same thing, getting yourself back up to the 100%. And third, there are solar panels on the roof. So you're going to have solar panels of 230 watts, which would charge back up the system again. In a day like today, we have plenty of sunlight. It's just going to, give you that trickle charge to the Volta battery pack, which is great. Inside here, we have the screen doors. These are the roll-off. They're very easy to use, and they have 2 zippers, and then on the right hand side we have a magnetic strip. So the great thing is that you can zip it all the way down, especially on a beautiful day like today, to keep the bugs out. And then if you didn't want to have to unzip and zip it, you can simply just move the entire right side here with this very heavy duty from Roleff magnetic, and it'll just go right back. So it's a very easy system to use, and it also comes on the back door, which we'll show you here in a second. And then all you do is just put it right back up, put these 2 clips back in, and then you can just head on your way of screening. Inside the door we have the television, which you'll see it's in a lock position. All you'd have to do is simply just pull on the handle. You can then move it out and point it towards the front if you're going to swivel the driver and passengers 2 seats, which they do, or if you're going to sleep here at night, you could just move the TV whichever direction you like. So it's really great that it'll just tuck back in and get out of the way until it would lock in, and then you have the lock to keep it from moving when you're driving. As far as inside the coach, this is the Macchiato cabinetry. You have 2 different choices, and we're going to show you the darker color combination here in a little bit, which is the darker walnut. But you'll see this has a high gloss shine to it. These are from Technoform, which is an Italian company that Winnebago's been using for a couple years. They're very lightweight, and as far as RVs, just like boats, it's very similar as far as the quality of it. You'll notice that there's going to be a chance of a very large swing in temperature every day, from not only temperature but also humidity. So these cabinets are going to look exactly the same with the edges in several years, no matter if it a 60 degree, 70 degree temperature swing as well as humidity changes in an RV. These cabinets can handle it, so it's great that Winnebago has that. Also with these positive locking latches that when you are driving they won't come out. But you do have a tremendous amount of storage in these cabinets on both sides, so you can store all of your belongings, because in a Class B van, generally you're not going to have any exterior storage of compartments like a Class C or Class A, even though you will have a hitch with some tongue weight, which we'll show you when we get outside. But you got plenty of storage all the way around. As far as the beds, you'll see the configuration is set up as 2 twins. Just by pulling this section here, you then can move the cushion and then you'll have the two skinny cushions that are located on both sides to fill in the entire bed. And then Winnebago's thought process and what works, you can see that you'll sleep north and south with the two twin beds, but when you make it up into the bigger bed, the thought process, you would sleep east and west sideways. That way a couple can sleep next to each other, but it just works to have either or, which is really nice, and it's very easy to do. On the driver's side, because you'll see there's no additional seating up front as far as seat belts, you do have two additional seat belts here, so you could actually have 4 people seated comfortably. You just wouldn't have a child because there's no tether anchor for a sideways facing child to sit on either side. So it's mainly meant for 4 adults if you wanted to travel and go through. Back here you're going to have some little keeper baskets so that they can just pop down and you can put some of your belongings in at night. You have all these little touch lights, as you can see, make it nice and easy. So if you did want to have the additional lighting, you do have this sound bar, which you'll see is an option that was added as well. And then you have your screening. You can have your blackout at night, your screening during the day, and these are the dual pane windows, which would just easily pop open, and then you can get some ventilation pretty easy here on all sides of this RV. Now, as far as this system here, it is also Bluetooth. A little while ago I had some Beatles playing in here, and you're just going to control that from your phone. It does come with a remote control, but it's very easy just to do everything Bluetooth. So you have the Volt the battery system is Bluetooth, you have the sound bar is Bluetooth, you also have the roof air conditioner. So this is the NDQ, the Coleman air conditioner, and with the buttons here, as long as you have your inverter or you're plugged into shore power with 30 amps, you can then just go ahead, let me just grab my phone and I'll show you. You can just go into the Coleman and it'll just search for the app for the phone, and then it'll just go through RV climate. You can then push the 2 buttons. It'll give you a 6-number code to set up with your phone, and then you could just lay down and control the temperature very easily from your phone, depending if you want what temperature of the air conditioning. So again, having Bluetooth and technology is great. We love to do that. Here, back here, you're going to have the control, the one-play system. This will have your water pump. You can turn that on and off and utilize the onboard water system without being hooked up to city pressure. You have your tank levels, so you can check all of your levels just to see where you're at for your fresh tank, your toilet waste, which is your black, and your gray tank, and then your battery level. You can also push right here so that you can just make sure what's the condition of your chassis battery as well as the Volta system. Right here we have our Truma, so this is going to be for your furnace and your hot water, so you can just go in here. We have some YouTube videos on walking you through all of the controls, so you'll have your heat system for the coach as well as your hot water. And you can also control exactly how much you want to use from your propane, because you do have propane in the Bolt. It's not an entire electric system. That's what it's going to use for the furnace in the Truma system, even though it's not for the cooktop, which is induction stove. You're just going to have additional lights here just before the cabinet. You do have a nice wardrobe cabinet with shelves that you can just adjust. We just have some of the Winnebagos. They have all of the hoses and your water filter in here. And the nice thing as well is you do have heated holding tanks. The Bolt coach is insulated, as we talked about, one of the features for an extended or almost all season, all year round as far as cold temperatures. But if you have the heated holding tank switches, you could just turn them on as an additional insurance policy, and then that'll keep the tanks from freezing. So it's great that you have that as well, so you can camp into colder temperatures. You have some additional drawers that you can store all of your belongings. As we talked about, a lot of space above you. And then here you also have the light switch for the bathroom, which a lot of people love, even in the Travato lineup and the Bolt, that the bathroom is all the way in the back of the RV. You do have this a curtain, which I didn't hang up here, that'll come all the way around. That way none of the cabinets or anything will get wet, and it'll just hang down into the basin here. You do have a pocket-sized door that you can just pull across as far as privacy. And then you have another wardrobe cabinet here, which is entirely wardrobe, and it houses the curtain, as we've just talked about. So you got plenty of storage inside the van, which really highlights a long coach that's 22'11". You do have a little fan here, so if you're going to exhaust, it's 12 volts. I just turned it on. That's going to help you when you are showering or just to air out the bathroom. It's just very simple operation, pushing a button. and just closing it up. You do have a medicine cabinet as well as a stainless steel sink, toilet and shower, hot and cold, with the Oxygenetics shower head, which is very convenient. You can just turn it on so that you're conserving water and then turn it off. We're going to open up the back doors in a minute, but I just wanted to show you that you do have the blackout as well as screening, which you can see. We could just black that out and zip it down. And then you have also a screening option, but at least you can see that you can have complete privacy back here in the short little bathroom. You do have a bamboo flooring that you're standing on, just to give you something for moisture and not just to be standing on the floor, which is great, just to give you a little more traction. Coming from the Boldt's bathroom, the 70KL, when you come back into the sleeping area, you'll see they, again, have the catch-alls, the little baskets, but you also have some power outlets for USB, which is nice so you can charge your devices. You can still have on both sides of the van. You have the blackout as well as the screening. And then these levers for the window, as we mentioned, they're a dual pane acrylic windows, and they'll just go out in increments so that you can have it stay up or not, and then you can pull it back in. And the cool feature about this, you have two different modes. You can have it completely locked, and then you're not going to have any ventilation, or you can put it in the center, so it's still a locked window, nobody can get in it, and then you still have some ventilation if you wanted to just have the screen down and go for a hike or something like that. Again, we talked about the seat belts. You have great screening, all of your storage. When you're coming up to the kitchenette area, you do have a little pocket storage right behind the driver's side bed, which is great to put magazines or other things. And we didn't talk about it yet, but throughout the coach, you're going to have the Ram Tough Track mounts. You'll see that we had the one, the sound bar was already attached to it. You can see that there are these nice little baskets attached to it, and they're all different types of devices that you can hang, like an iPad. Even though you have a television, you can still hang your iPad or whatever you're interested in hanging throughout the coach. You got different positions, so it's just great because you're going to have that table inside the entrance that you can move into a second position using this track right here. As far as the stove, as we mentioned, this is going to be using more electricity than gas, other than for the Truma system with your propane. But this is an induction stove, so this is on right now, and as you can see, I have my hand on it, so it's not going to burn anything unless you have a magnetic pot. You need a magnetic pot in order for true induction stoves to work, which is great because you'll minimize power loss of using the cooking. As far as the microwave oven, this is a convection oven, which is going to be a little bit different in the other model that we're going to show you. So you do have a true convection as well as microwave oven. You're going to have some additional outlets, additional storage. This is going to be your vent for your furnace. It's literally whisper quiet when you do turn the furnace on in the Winnebago with the Truma system, which is great. You have this nice Corian countertop with the sink right here, and then if you were going to pull that up and turn it over, it's great because you also have a nice little area that you can work and to prepare your food with the stainless steel sink. You still have a window, which is great for ventilation when you are cooking, and it also has the same shades as far as the blackout and the screening, still carrying over all the Ram Tough Track mounts throughout the coach. And lastly, for the kitchen, you're going to have your 4.3 cubic. This is a 12-volt fridge, and you don't even have to think about a refrigerator like this operating in an RV. It's not in a gas absorption refrigerator. It's just 12 volts compressor, and it's just going to do its job with not only the power that comes in the Volta, especially with 12,800 watt hours of usable hours, but also with the solar will continue to charge the battery pack. You don't even have to think about what this is going to draw with all of your items in it to keep it cold. One thing we sometimes forget to talk about in some of the walk-arounds that we do with Winnebago is their owner's satchel, which is really great. You're going to have everything from your chassis, in this case it's Mercedes-Benz, all your how-to for the chassis. You will have your original window sticker for the coach if you're going to resell it in a few years. I always like to point out the master component information. They have this laminated copy, which is great. It's going to talk about and give you information about any of the systems, from the toilet, the microwave, the fridge, air conditioning, even the tires. And it's great they give you the manufacturer model and serial number, nice on a handy little sheet in case you needed to replace a part a couple years from now. But in addition to this, Winnebago, all of their parts, their wiring, their plumbing diagrams is all online, which is great for anyone who purchases a Winnebago. Obviously, our our service and parts department or any Winnebago dealer will be able to help you, but it's great that you can also access that information on your own. Then you're just going to have all the Winnebago manuals, in this case for the 2022 Bolt. This is an operator's manual which you can download as a PDF from their website, and then it'll walk you through each section with these little pictures and diagrams just telling you how to turn on. This is electrical, so really handy manuals that you get. In addition, lastly, to their supplemental, as you can see, it's a little bit thicker, but this will give you a full description and operating and how-to and troubleshooting on any system inside the coach. So this comes with every Winnebago motorhome that you would purchase. Next, we're going to just take a walk up to the cabin and the cab area and show you how everything works up front from Mercedes. Now, before we sit down in the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter seats and talk about some of the cool features, Winnebago in the last year have been putting something as an option, which we do order, which is called the Luno bed. This is an air mattress bed. It'll go across the driver and passenger seat. It's in 2 sections, and there's even a YouTube video which we can link on our homepage. And it's one section is the bottom, which is like a Y. You fill it up, it'll then fill the void, and then the top section will go across the 2 seats. All you would need to do is just, these are electric seats. You put them all the way back so you have more room because the steering wheel is here, and then you can actually sleep a third person if you would like. Right behind here as well, they have some additional cool things. You have duplex outlets. You also have a 12-volt and USB. And then you have a really nice table, which you can then just pull up if someone's going to work. It's magnetic, so you can swivel the seat. The passenger has theirs, which we were just talking about, and the driver has their own little table, which is nice. And then they just have the release underneath it. And one of the things sometimes we forget to mention, which is really cool, because in a lot of the other motorhomes, they do have 2 hooks behind the driver and the passenger, just if you needed to lock down, whether it's a dog crate or any expensive merchandise that you're carrying and belongings, you can just quickly lock into those little O-rings right there, which are very sturdy. Now, these 2 seats, as we mentioned, will swivel, but these are not manual seats, which will often come in something like a Revel. These are electric seats, so all you'd have to do is just make sure that before you swivel it, you'd electronically just put it up so that it's all the way clearing the B pillar. You have a little lever, which we'll show you right underneath the seat. You'd pop that, and then you can then swivel the seat, as we mentioned, and then the same thing you could do with the passenger seat. And then you just move them around, and then this will be part of your interior living space, which is great, especially if you're entertaining and you're at a campsite. To have 2 seats that will swivel will just increase your interior space, because they're not, again, there's only 22 foot 11 inches in length. So now we're here in the cab area, in the driver's seat, and this is the VS30 Mercedes-Benz chassis. Again, this is diesel, 3.0 liter engine. Great driving vehicle, as we talked about earlier in the beginning, that has an excellent turning radius, so you always feel very comfortable. These seats are all power, so over here on the passenger and driver's door, you could even have a memory section, memory 1, memory 2, memory 3. You have obviously power windows. You also can change with the buttons here for your mirrors, so you can have power mirrors on both sides. Just get yourself very comfortable. You even have a nice little grab handle in case you did need it. With the Mercedes-Benz chassis, you can have plenty of controls here. I always say this control right here is similar to like an iPad as well. The screen, you can say, hey Mercedes, and find me the nearest restaurant or fuel station. But you can just go back to the home page, and you can control all of the systems here, not only with the buttons, you can also touch screen, and you can control it from the little wheel right here. Right above the Mercedes-Benz user experience, you're going to have like a little glove box. That's what I call it anyway. And you have wireless charging, and you also have, you can hook up your phone here for whether it's Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, and then you have some USB-C charging ports as well, just to charge any other equipment or just link it to the dash if you need it. Here in the seat, you're going to have all your controls for the trip and for maintenance, whether it's your DEF, your diesel exhaust fluid. If you just want to know your oil change level, you can just scroll through the menu to tell you how many miles, if you're on a trip or not. So we can go through all of the features with the wheel here, so it's great. And you can also set your adaptive cruise control. The Mercedes-Benz chassis is similar to many others cars that we drive, where you can set that, which is great. cruise control, and it'll slow you down and speed you up depending on traffic and the car ahead of you. But all of these features you can control from the steering wheel. Two other devices, which are the minus and plus, you can downshift or change the gear that you're in if you're going up a steep hill. Again, we'll get into the 4x4 unit in a little bit, which will have that option. But it's nice that you can control your speed. And here you just have your windshield wipers, and like most modern European cars, you'll have your parking, reverse, neutral, and drive. You don't have any more of a stick shift anymore. This is an electronic start, so you're not putting your key in anywhere. One of the nice features you have with the steering wheel, you can release it. You could change the angle just to get yourself even more comfortable when you're driving. Also, one other thing we talk about as far as with the key fob, if you ever entered not through the cab doors, the key fob, often it may say that it didn't recognize the key. There's a port all the way down here below the center section, and what we would do is we would just put that key fob back into this little key port. That way it'll recognize the key, and sometimes that will happen if it did when you come inside the sliding door and not coming in through the driver and passenger door in the Mercedes-Benz. Have a nice dash here as far as all of your cup holders, and then the only thing below the Mercedes-Benz user experience panels, you're going to have all of your temperature, and you can control your air conditioning, your furnace, the defrost, as well as your hazards. So also with these vents, if you were going to use them, you could not only change the direction of it, but you can just simply turn it just as you're seeing clockwise about 45 degrees, and that would turn that vent off or turn it on. So the driver and passengers can also do that with you. Just have your rear view mirror. You're going to have just some additional space with your visors, and then you can put some belongings up above. I wouldn't say sunglasses, because you do have a holder right here that you can put some sunglasses. You can control all of your Mercedes-Benz, all of the lights, the dome light, if it's going to come on with the entrance of the door or not. Also for reading light for driver, passenger, and you have a nice SOS if you did need help. You can also push that button, but all of the buttons would just be easily controlled here in the dash for the driver as well as the passenger. Next, we're going to just walk outside and show you some of the features on the exterior of the Winnebago Boldt 70KL. So as we come outside on the Boldt, the 70KL, we're in the passenger seat. And again, the passenger is going to have the same controls of electronic, which is nice. You can just move the seats as we showed you inside. But one other thing we always like to talk about, which is important when you have an RV, it's a little bit different than a car, is how much weight can you carry inside the RV? We'll talk about the hitch in a second, but that's what's called the occupant cargo and carrying capacity, or the OCCC. In this case, in the Boldt, in the 70KL model, and they will be different depending on the options. So Winnebago will take a look at that. So it's got 2,415 pounds. So that's how much additional weight, and that also includes passengers. It's going to include any of also water weight. That's why Winnebago lists how much your water would weigh per gallon. So sometimes you may not need to fill the water tank all the way to full when you're traveling. When you get to your destination, you can, because it's just adding additional weight for driving. And lastly, you always want to calculate what's called, you have the hitch weight, and then you're going to have how much weight can you hang off of that hitch, which is your tongue weight. That also will count towards your OCC. So something just you want to think about depending on how many passengers you have, as well as cargo and belongings, and also your tongue weight. As far as in this, we have the iridium silver paint on the Mercedes-Benz. We talked about the screening when we walked in, but this is a non-4x4, as we mentioned, and one of the things that's unique is you're going to have what's called the power sliding door. That's something that you will control by just the key fob. So you can just push a button and without slamming the door. This is unique to the non-4x4 models, and we'll show you in the 4x4 that's just going to be a manual sliding door. So that's great that you can do that. You also have the running boards on the side, which Winnebago has. These are stationary. They will not retract, and they're nice with embossed with the Winnebago logo. You have the two rings on the front with some marker lights, so if you did want to leash your dog or a pet, or who knows, or anything else that you'd like to keep safe for bikes, I'd say even why not, if it's windy, fly a kite, or anything that you're into. If you're tailgating, put up your colors, and you could use that as well. These are the dual pane windows, acrylic from the outside. You'll see that they are tinted. Sometimes I forget to mention that to people that are considering to buy an RV. Winnebago, you'll see they have that nice sleek look, which continues the windows on the body of it. So they have that with the black wrap. And then this is just, again, going to be your track for the sliding door. For exhaust, for the diesel engine, you'll see that's right behind the running boards, and we're going to show you here in a second the difference in height between both the non-4x4 and the 4x4 version of what the different clearance is. That's often asked of us, even for a non-4x4 model, and you'll see that you have an extra few inches in the 4x4 model. You do have the dually tires, and these are the Continental, the standard 16-inch wheels. Here you're going to have a duplex outlet for additional power for when you're camping, and you also will have a 12 volt, and this will be your cable television out, so you'd plug in on the driver's side, and then you can hook up a television if you are going to watch a game or watch a movie outside. And lastly, on the passenger side, you're going to have a port for your solar. As we mentioned, you have the Volta solar system that will come on the Boldt models only, and then you can add additional up to 600 watts of solar. So if you had a portable solar and you're going for a hike, or you're just going to be around the vehicle and you want to charge up your batteries faster, you can do that right here. We talked about before the cool Boldt name and where that came from, and then you have your black flush tank. So we have the bathroom right inside the KL. This is just something that will help flush and clean out your toilet when you are dumping the tanks, which is on the driver's side. Back here you're going to have your ladder on the 3500 chassis. Winnebago has this in the stow position. So this ladder, you're not going to climb it on the back door, especially as far as too much weight. Adding that on would add extra stress to the mount on the top of the back door. But this right here, all you would do is, if you wanted to, it is locked, so you do get a key for that. You would just take this off, you're going to just pop it off, and then we could bring this anywhere on the driver's side of the vehicle. So I'll just show you real quick. You can just pop it up, so if you wanted to get up on the roof, anywhere, obviously not where there's a tire, but on the entire driver's side, and you can go up there and clean the solar. You can add a kayak rack or any type of gear or storage pouches. So this removable ladder, which again is locked, is just great to use if you were going to travel often. Right underneath it, we have the 30 amp cord. So this is your main power, even though you don't need it because you have the 4-module Volta system. But if you were going to hook up and charge at a campground, it's just easy access with that little door. And here you have your cable in if you were going to go to a campground and watch cable television, as well as your tank fill for if you're going to just fill up your fresh water tank. Just very easy to do right there. City fill, while we're here on the driver's side, this is going to be city pressure as opposed to just filling your tank. So they're two different things, even though it's meant for the same system. And lastly, you're going to have your Truma vent, as we showed you inside on the control panel for your heat and hot water. This is just the vent right here. Now, we did talk about a light switch when we walked in the coach. This is going to be for your camping, the driver's side for utilities. If you're going to dump your tank, you could turn on the LED switch from the entrance, and you have one on both the driver's side and your camping side. Let's just take a look at the back doors inside here with the Mercedes chassis. So you can see inside you also have your shower, which you can even take that hose if you needed to outside, wash your feet, wash the dog. Inside the bathroom, this is just another great view. And one thing, many RV companies don't duct their bathrooms. So if you are showering, it's nice to know that you're going to get heat inside the bathroom area in case it is very cold. So Winnebago, all their motorhomes are ducted, so I just wanted to point that out. You do have that second roll left screen. It's a Canadian company, and you have the magnet. In this case, it's going to be on the left side, and then that would just be easy in, easy out. Also, if you had an emergency, you don't have to worry about the zippers. We do have up above the King, the Omni antenna, which is going to be for over-the-air waves. You do not have to worry about the angle, but you can get, as far as television, anywhere from 50 to 70 channels of over-the-air waves digital television. And there are some markets, even California, they still have and are broadcasting up to 156 or 57, I forget the number exact, but close, that you can get television channels for free when you are camping at certain places in different cities throughout the country. Your backup camera is located right above. When we were sitting up front on the MBUX, you'd see when you put it in reverse, your backup camera. You do have additional lights, LED light. You have your outlet, your 12 volt and USBs. And then you can turn on your water pump from here as well. And then nice thing is you also have great amount of storage. And then we have our hot and cold shower. So if you were back here and you didn't want to move that shower, you have a second one. Just put it in, you got hot and cold shower, and you can control your water pump as we just turned on. And then with the green light, and now that you can see that we've turned it off. So you have a great deal of storage, even though it doesn't look like it, that you can find places to put. And I've even seen people do a lot of modifications with this back wall that they were going to add some additional items. So great amount of storage in the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter chassis. We walked you all the way around, interior and exterior. This is again the KL. This is the non-4x4 model. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just introduce my colleague Kristen, and she's going to walk you through the BL interior and show you what's different.
Hey guys, so behind me we have the Boldt 70 BL, the other floor plan that we'll be going over today. Jumping inside, the most noticeable difference is that this unit has the Colombian walnut interior finish, which adds a nice depth to the feeling of this floor plan. Now, just like your KL, the control features are going to be located in the same place. So the first feature I want to point out is this dinette area right here. So you have a table that swivels, you have a seatbelt. Behind this cushion, you have extra storage. And when you're not using it for a seat, this converts into a bed that fits one smaller adult. Taking a look at one of the main key differences between the floor plans is that in the BL, the bathroom is conveniently located in the center of the RV, making this floor plan feel a little bit more open than those with the bathroom located in the back of the RV. Now this is a 32 by 35 wet bath that has beautiful bamboo floors. Across the way, you'll see the beautiful state-of-the-art kitchen area. You have these brilliant white Corian countertops that really complement the Colombian walnut cabinetry. And now to start over here, you have the true induction cooktop. You have your microwave oven. Now in this model, it's only a microwave oven, it's not convection. Over here, you have your 12-volt NovaCool refrigerator. And then up here, you have your Corian countertop slab that seconds as a cutting board. Moving to the back of the RV, here you have your TV that is on a swiveling mount, so you could pretty much watch TV from anywhere in your RV. And you also have your Bluetooth soundbar. Now you have your two benches. You have two seatbelts on this bench and another seatbelt on the other bench, so you could bring a total of 6 passengers with you. Now just like the KL, you would slide out the support section and put the 2 cushions in the middle to create a large bed. So that was the Boldt 70 BL. Next, Bobby's going to show you the Boldt 4x4.
So now that my colleague Kristen showed you the different interior of the second floor plan, now we're going to get into the limited production, the 4x4 version. So again, this is the same Mercedes-Benz Sprinter chassis, and you'll see here, as it mentions, this is the 4x4. Well, if you don't know, you will see that there is a different clearance above the tires because the van does sit higher, and often people ask me, what is the difference in the height? The lowest point of the Sprinter chassis is going to be this exhaust. So if you're measuring the non-4x4 compared to the 4x4, here what we're going to have as far as about 8.5 inches. I can tell you, and I'll show you here in a second, that on the non-4x4 it's just over 5.5. So it's about a difference of about 2.5 in actuality if you have it on the same pavement, which we can show you. Now with the 4x4, again, there is a different transfer case underneath this coach, which will divide the torque from 65% from the rear to 35% in the front. So what that's going to do then is just give you that 4x4 aspect, which is an on-demand. Right now, this coach as it sits, I did not push the 4x4 mode button, so it's still going to be in its 2x2 standard drive mode. There also is a low range, and the low range, what that does is it gives you a 40% transmission ratio reduction to the engine, from the engine to the wheels, which will also help you when you're on an incline or a decline. So the 4x4 chassis, though, it is very limited, and there's one other feature that's different than the standard models, which we showed you, and Kristen showed you in the BL. You'll see that this is not a power sliding door, it's manual, so that's going to be one of the other differences. It's not an option on the 4x4, and sometimes people will ask, well, why do Winnebago do that? There's always going to be differences in systems, and a lot of times it's going to always come down to the yellow sticker, which is the occupant cargo and carry capacity, which in this case, for the 4x4 version, the other one was 24 and change, 24.15. Here you have 2,078 pounds. So you can see that as far as if you do the quick math, that you're going to have less cargo and carry capacity in the 4x4 because it is upfitted and it's a different chassis. And just to finish up on the 4x4 as well as the non-4x4, the 3 switches inside the door, you're going to have your running board lights, which are LED lights, and then you're going to have your awning controls. Your awning controls for out and in, You just push that right here, and then you could turn the LED lights, which will be on it inside. It does have the wind sensor on the back of the awning, so that if it got too windy and you were here at the RV, it would go all the way back in. In this case, we're just gonna stop it. You have the beautiful LED lights. One touch, just put it all the way back in. Turn the LED lights off, and then you're all done. So thanks for following us in the walkthrough of the 3 different floor plans with my colleague Kristen and I, the Boldt lineup. And if you're looking for a fuel-efficient Mercedes-Benz Sprinter that's also whisper quiet with the Volta system, you're going to want to consider one of the Boldts. And from all of us here at Colonial RV and the Jersey Coast, thanks for joining us, and drive carefully. But remember, if you have any questions, our phone number is 1-800-265-9019, and our website is www.colonialrv.com.
Also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Thanks for watching.